of time. Today we're starting here.
Perfect. Okay.
Get this out of here. Oh my goodness.
The book is...
Oh.
Okay, we're starting at Dobbin's Friends. There are two of them, a boy and a girl. They come in the autumn when the ground is covered with leaves. They bring a bag and a little wagon. The wagon is made out of a box. It has wooden wheels. On the side of the wagon are these words, silver, gloss, starch. The children fill the bag with the dry autumn leaves. One day the wind blew hard. A lady stopped to help them. The wind blew so hard the little girl could not hold the bag. The boy had to work hard to gather the leaves. The boy had hard work to gather the leaves. Why do you gather all these leaves? Asked the lady. They are for Dobbin's bed. Who is Dobbin? He is our horse, said the boy. He works all day. He carts gravel. My father drives him. Does he like this kind of bed? Oh, yes. The leaves make a very nice bed, and they save my father's money so he can buy shoes for us. We cannot go to school without shoes, said the black-eyed girl. How many leaves can you get? One year we got 10 bushels. Who made the little wagon? The grocer gave us the box, and my father made the wheels, said the boy. I wonder if Dobbin knows his little friends, said the lady. Oh, yes, he calls us every morning. And he eats from our hands, said the little girl, smiling. With the lady's help, they had the bag full. I think you are good children to help your father and take care of Dobbin, she said. Now come into my kitchen and warm your fingers and toes. Dobbin's little friends were very glad to go into the warm kitchen. The lady gave each of them some bread and a glass of milk. Story by K.T.W. The Pygmy Pigs. Pygmy means very small. These pigs were full grown. When full grown, are only 2 feet long. Just measure 2 feet on a stick. Then you will know what cunning little animals they are. 4 of these tiny pigs live at the zoo in London. This is a picture of them. They have a place. Let's see, there they are. The Pygmy Pigs at the zoo. They have a place all to themselves in the ostrich house. See how comfortable and happy they look? When they first came to the zoo, they were very wild. Since then they have grown tame. They came from India. Look on the map of Asia to find India. At the north of India, there are the Himalayan mountains. At the foot of the mountains are great forests. These little pigs live in these forests. They live in the very thickest part of the forests. They roam about in herds. Sometimes there are 20 in one herd. They are very shy. They keep out of sight. Very few people in India have ever seen any of these pygmy pigs. They can run very fast. When they hear the hunters coming, they run away. They can fight too, so you see hundreds of snares before they could catch them. Oh, they can fight too. So you see, it is not very easy to catch them. These 4 in the picture were caught by hunters. They were caught in snares, but the hunters had to set hundreds of snares before they could catch them. They live on roots and bulbs. They dig them up with their noses, just as our pigs do. They eat birds' eggs, too, and insects and reptiles. A reptile is an animal that crawls like a snake or lizard. These little pigs are brown. Their hair is very thin, except on the back. See what queer little tails they have. There isn't a bit of curl in them. Story by F.A.H. Archie's Bees. Every year, Archie goes with his mama to Grandpa Allen's farm. Grandpa Allen has a great orchard. Many of the trees are old and large. Archie likes to play in the orchard. He climbs into the trees and sits on the branches. His mama always goes to the farm early in May, so Archie sees the apple trees in bloom. A great many robins live in orchards. The calves live there too. A swift little brook runs through the orchard. A gate leads from the garden to the orchard. Near the gate is the home of the bees. There are 10 hives. One of these hives belongs to Archie. I will tell you how he got it. One day he went out to the orchard and laid down under an apple tree. The little brook sparkled in the sunshine. The birds sang and twittered in the trees. In Grandpa Allen's orchard. The bees buzzed about the apple blossoms. Pretty soon Archie fell asleep. Archie's beehive. When he awoke, he saw a great cluster of bees. They hung on a branch just over his head. Archie knew what that meant. He knew the bees were swarming. He ran to the house to tell Grandpa. "The bees are swarming," he cried. Then Grandpa took the ironing blanket and a saw and an empty hive and went out to the orchard. He spread the blanket on the ground and set the empty hive upon it. Then he sawed off the limb where the bees were hanging. He shook the bees down in front of the hive. In a moment they began to run into the hive. They looked like a little black stream. Archie was watching. "Is this the way you always do, Grandpa?" he asked. "Yes," said Grandpa, "but sometimes the bees leave the hive and go off. This swarm shall be yours if it stays, because you found them." The swarm did stay, and that is how Archie got the hive. In the autumn, Grandpa Allen sent him 2 boxes of nice honey from his own hive. Story by A.S. Rob's Tramp. Capturing the Thanksgiving turkey. Rob tries to see out. Every night when Rob goes upstairs to bed, Rob's mama goes too. She sits by his bed and reads to him. Her voice is sweet. She reads pleasant stories. Rob likes to fall asleep with his mama's sweet voice sounding in his ears like the ripple of a brook. But last night Rob's mama could not go upstairs with him. She had to stay with Grandma. Grandmama was sick, so Rob had to go alone. He felt lonely. He lay still for a few moments, then he sat up in his bed. He could see the fields and orchards through the window. He knew they were full of daisies and buttercups and red clovers. He knew that bees and butterflies and birds flew to and fro there in the daytime. But tonight they looked dark and lonely. Just then a tiny spark flew up from the meadow. Then another tiny spark burst out, and another and another. They came faster and faster. The dark was full of sparks. What is daisies in the daytime must be fireflies at night, said Rob to himself. Well, what is that noise? Poof, 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 poof. Oh dear, said Rob. I wish Grandma was not sick. I do hate to go to sleep alone. Rob thought it had been 2 hours since he had come upstairs. There was that noise again. Poof, poof, poof. Rob listened. Poof, poof. Oops. Rob left his bed and crept softly across the carpet to the window. The windowsill was too high. He raised himself on his toes, and he stuck his toes on the edge of the mopboard and raised himself a little more. He could see out now, a very little. Rob sees out. It was very dark. It was not quite time for the moon to rise. Poof, poof, poof. The poof was louder this time than it had been. Rob made up his mind that it was a tramp. Now Rob heard another sound. It was a very bad sound. He was sure that somebody was trying to get in at the pantry window. Perhaps by this time the tramp was running off with a loaf of Grandma's cake and a jar of jam. Poof, poof, poof. Up came the moon in front of Rob. She threw a great square of light on the carpet. Up came something else behind Rob. It was Papa. Mama had sent him to see if Rob was asleep. What, my little boy, out of bed? The little nightgown figure was drawn away from the window. Hush, Papa, said Rob. The tramp will hear you. Then Papa heard the tramp. The sound was under Rob's window. Papa laughed. He swung his little boy up on the window seat. He opened the window. He held Rob so that he should not fall, and let him lean out and look. Under the window, Rob saw his Tramp. It was Daisy, Grandma's pet white cow. She had come up through the lawn gate, which Rob had left open. Papa shouted at her to her, and she walked off under the clothesline. She carried a tablecloth off on her back. Then Papa went down and drove her into the pasture. After that, Grandma's pet cow was called Rob's Tramp. Story by C. Okay, next time we'll start at Didn't Think. Thanks for watching.